The human brain, new discoveries. Most of us learn basic facts about the human brain in our middle or high school biology classes. We study the subcortex, the old brain, which is found in brains of most animals and is responsible for basic functions such as breathing, eating, drinking, and sleeping. We learn about the neocortex, the new brain, which is unique to humans and is where complex brain activity takes place. We found that the cerebellum, which is responsible for all active thought, is divided into two parts or hemispheres. The left hemisphere generally manages the right side of the body. It is responsible for logical thinking. The right hemisphere manages the left side of the body. This hemisphere controls emotional, creative, and artistic functions. And we learn that the corpus callosum is the brick that connects the two hemispheres. Memorizing the names for parts of the brain might not seem thrilling to many students, but new discoveries in brain function are exciting. Recent research is shading on creativity, memory, maturity, gender, and the possibility for changing the brain. Left brain, right brain, creativity. Psychologists agree that most of us have creative ability that is greater than what we use in daily life. In other words, we can be more creative than we realize. The problem is that we use mainly one hemisphere of our brain, the left. From childhood, in school, we are taught reading, writing, and mathematics. We are exposed to very little music or art. Therefore, many of us might not exercise our right hemisphere much, except through dreams, symbols, and those wonderful insights in which we suddenly find the answer to a problem that has been bothering us and do so without the need for logic. Can we be taught to use our right hemisphere more? Many experts believe so. Classes at some schools and books, such as the inner game of tennis and drawing on the right side of the brain, claim to help people to silence the left hemisphere and give the right a chance to work. Memory, true or false? In the 1980s, in the United States, there were many cases of adults who suddenly remembered, with the help of a psychologist, things that had happened to them in childhood. These memories had been repressed, held back. For many years, some of these newly discovered memories have sent people to prison, as people remember crimes such as murder or rape that they saw or experienced as children. The police have reopened and investigated all criminal cases. In fact, over 700 cases have been filed that be based on these repressed memories. However, study in the 1990s suggested that many of these might be failed memories. At a 1994 conference at Harvard Medical School, neuroscientists discussed how memory is believed to work. It is known that small pieces of a memory, sound, sight, feeling, and so on, are kept in different parts of the brain. The limbic system in the middle of the brain pulls these pieces together into one complete memory. But it's certainly that people can remember things that have never happened. Even a small suggestion can leave a piece of memory in the brain. Most frightening, according to Dr. Michelle Nash of the University of Tennessee, is that there may be no structural difference in the brain between a false memory and a true one. The teen brain. Parents of teenagers have always known that there is something, well, different about the teen years. Some parents claim that their teenage children belong to a different species. Until recently, neuroscience did not support this belief. The traditional belief was that by the time a child was 8 to 12, the brain was completely mature. However, very recent studies provide evidence that the brain of a teenager differs from that of both children and adults. According to data of a National Institute of Mental Health, maturation does not stop at age 10, but continues into the 10 years and beyond. In fact, Jai and his colleagues found that the corpus callosum continues growing into your 20s because it is believed the corpus callosum is involved in self-awareness and intelligence. The new study implied that teens may not be as fully self-aware or as intelligent as they will be later. Other researchers at McLean Hospital in Massachusetts have found that teenagers are not as able as adults are to read emotions on people's faces. Differences in male and female brains. Watch a group of children as they play. You'll probably notice that the boys and girls play differently, speak differently, and are interested in different things. When they grow into men and women, the differences do not disappear. Many scientists are now studying the origins of these gender differences. Some are researching for an explanation in the human brain. Some of their findings as interesting. For example, they find that more men than women are left-handed. This reflects the dominance of the brain's right hemisphere. By contrast, more women listen equally with both ears, while men listen mainly with the right ear. Men are better at reading a map without having to rotate it. Women are better at reading the emotions of people in photographs. One place to look for an explanation of gender differences is in the hypothalamus, just above the brainstem. This controls anger, thirst, hunger, and sexual desire. One recent study shows that there is a region in the hypothalamus that is larger in heterosexual men than it is in women and homosexual men. Another area of study is the corpus callosum, the thick group in nerves that allow the right and left hemispheres of the brain to communicate with each other. The corpus callosum is larger in women than in men. It may explain the mystery of female intuition, which is supposed to give women greater ability to read and understand emotional cues. A change of mind. We all know the expression to change your mind, but is it possible literally to change your mind, or to be more precise, to change your brain? Reports from 2005 say yes. First, the bad news. At least for smokers, a study from University of Aberdeen and the University of Edinburgh in Scotland concludes that smoking makes people less intelligent. On cognitive tests, that is, tests that involve judgment, smokers did significantly worse than non-smoker. The theory is that poison, in the smoke enter the blood and damage blood vessels, providing the brain with oxygen. And there is more bad news. For most of us, a study from University of London says the infomania, the constant flood of information from cell phones, emails, and text messaging can reduce intelligence by 10 points on an IQ test. However, there is also good news. Meditation seems to change the wiring in the brain in several positive ways. In a study that compared the brains of 8 lifelong Buddhist meditator who works with the Dalai Lama with the brains of beginning meditators, scientists discovered that there were significant differences. The expert meditators had higher level of gamma brain waves, which improved memory, learning, and concentration. Meditation appeared to do for the brain what physical training does for the body. The researcher Richard Davison said, "The trained mind or brain is physically different from the untrained one. Perhaps we should consider going into training."